Welcome to Dan Kramer's 4F's Faith, Family, Business, Finance podcast. No matter what you're needing, Dan Kramer is going to help you grasp important concepts about business, life, family, fitness, and most of all, faith. Because as an entrepreneur, you need all four areas of life in order to succeed, in order to be more successful, and have exactly what you want. Subscribe to the podcast today, check out our YouTube channel, and let's get the show started with Dan Kramer and the 4F's Faith, Family, Fitness, and Finance.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is the 4F Forum. We talk about faith, family, fitness, and finances. And today I have a guest. I met this couple earlier this year at a Chris Rude real estate mastermind. And turns out Dave is 17. Well, he can confirm this, but he spent quite a long career in the major leagues baseball, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But really, I follow these guys on social media, very active in their fitness, and just wanted to bring them on, share their story, and we'll talk a little bit about finances as well. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Especially I'm glad you're both here today, and kind of introduce how you guys met, how long you've lived where you're at, talk about your kids a little bit, and then we'll kind of see where the conversation goes.
You want to do the intro?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm Dave Veers, my wife Robin. We've been married for almost 32 years. 33 years coming up. 33 years coming up in January.
All right.
Obviously met, believe it or not, I'm a few years older. So I was playing baseball at the time. Like you said, I played 17 years professionally, 10 years in the big leagues. So I met Robin probably about 3 years into my professional career. She was working out, or she's running track at the college that I went to. So I was back there in the wintertime working out, getting ready for the following season, and met her. I saw her in the weight room pumping iron. So, asked her if she needed a spot, and
no, he was so shy. He wouldn't talk to me.
Took about 2 or 3 weeks getting up nerve to actually talk. Actually, I think she made the first conversation. So
I thought, man, this guy doesn't have a job. He's not going to school. He's just hanging around.
Hung out in the gym. So.
And that was before the 10 years in the big leagues, right?
Yeah, before I was in AA. Yeah. And came back from the wintertime to work out and get a job. Kind of, back then there wasn't quite the money they do nowadays, but
yeah. So,
just training for the next season, and she was running track there. So, I knew she was an athlete, and kind of helps to have, similar mindset. And then we started talking, and a few weeks later found out we went to the same church, and it was one of those, meant to be type things. So, that was, like I said, almost 33. Well, we met 35 years ago, 34 years or so. We got married about a year and a half after we met, pretty quickly. Yeah. So like I said, I spent, my professional career, 17 years professionally. We have 4 kids, 26, 24, 22, and 20.
Yeah, we waited a little while.
Yeah, we waited a few years, kind of one of those minor leagues, can't afford it. Finally got to the big leagues, and you still wasn't sure. You never really ready to afford children. So
yeah, you're right.
So we waited a little bit. Kind of one of those things I regret. I was 30 when we had our first. So you always wish. Thinking back now, hindsight obviously. And my 2 oldest kids remember the baseball life. My 2 youngest don't really remember. My youngest one was born after my last year I played, or during my last year. So, but my 2 oldest got to appreciate the lifestyle and travel, and my son would go on road trips with us and sit on the planes next to Mark McGuire and, Mike Matheny, and hang out with, Matt Morris. And, so we had he enjoyed it. He loved it. My daughter was the oldest one, so she didn't really enjoy the clubhouse as much because, I didn't want my 5-year-old daughter in the clubhouse, running around. So, but no, it was great. So, 4 kids later and 2 grandkids, and
we lived in Colorado
moved here in 98, 99. Played with the Rockies.
Moved around a lot.
Yeah. We're from the Northwest originally. I'm from Oregon. She's from Washington State.
Our first house was in Texas.
Played for the Astros, so bought a house in Houston. Kind of one of those, note to any other athletes that watch this: don't buy a house while you're playing. Yeah. We bought 2 houses in our career, in our life, and I was traded within 3 months of buying those houses. So, where you think you're safe, had 2 good years in Houston, young, so fairly cheap. and bought a house in probably July or August.
You lived there 5 years?
Yeah. Well, we had the house for 5 years.
Yeah.
But I bought the house in August, got traded in October to Montreal. So obviously we were buying a house in Montreal. So we lived in Houston for about 4 or 5 years. That was 94. We bought the house, 94, 95.
So then you would just travel back and forth?
Yeah, keep the house for the,
most families do. They all have a home base, and then wherever they play, they'll rent or have another home.
We had no kids for the first year in Montreal, so we lived downtown. So that was great. Obviously, fairly young, and not Montreal's a beautiful city, great nightlife. So we enjoyed the city. From a personal standpoint, it's kind of when you're out till 2 or 3 every morning, sleep till noon. Take the subway to the stadium. I don't think we saw the sun. I never saw the sun because I was underground going to the stadium. Montreal had a dome stadium. We get done at 10 o'clock at night. So it's I very seldom saw the sun the first day or the first year in Montreal. And then we had our daughter that winter, so then we lived off a place called West Island, and a little more Americanized, a little more home. So we rented a house and enjoyed the city more. We were able to enjoy the, getting around and sightsee and be outside and stuff. So, but we bought a house, like I said, in August, got traded in October, got traded to the Rockies a couple years later.
And loved it. Loved Colorado.
Yeah, and we never do Colorado. Everybody thinks Colorado is, it snows 9 months out of the year. It's miserable. Colorado actually has the second most sun days in the country. There's like an average of 310 days of sun. Yeah. So it might be 35 degrees or 28 degrees, but it's, not a cloud in the sky. So one of our best friends signed here before us. We got traded here shortly thereafter. They moved here and they're like, hey, move to Colorado, So after the first year here, 98, had a good year, 2-something ERA at Coors Field, which was pretty good back then. Yeah. We ended up buying a house. I signed a 3-year extension. So then the next year I had 31 saves. So I had a good year my first year. I had the team record in saves the next year. So we're thinking, hey, let's buy a house in Colorado. So bought our house in August and got traded in November. No. So
well, we bought property first.
Yeah, bought property first.
Thinking we're gonna live the Colorado life in the mountains. And I was pregnant. I didn't come out and look at the property. He did everything because I was pregnant. And then when I had the kid, season starts. He's like, hey, let's go. Let me go show you the property where we're going to build our dream home.
It was beautiful. I mean, it was out in Conifer.
It was beautiful.
10 acres, top of a mountain.
Elk Reserve.
Elk Reserve. It was absolutely gorgeous.
I went and saw it. I'm like, okay, I don't see a smokestack. I am not living out here by myself with 3 little kids.
Yeah.
So we sold it.
Yeah, and our concern was, what if it snows? What if something? And sure enough, that first season in Colorado, the highways closed down. If I was at Coors Field and she was at home, there's no getting in or out. There's no hospital nearby. So we're like, probably,
No.
We thought better of it and sold it.
Sure, Bigfoot lived out there.
Yeah, definitely. It was awesome, though. It's awesome if you don't want any friends.
I
think people live in the mountains for a reason.
Yeah, they probably nice for the view and the animals, but as far as
it's not,
anything happens.
No.
It wasn't very practical. So
they're not the kind of people you go and just knock on their door if you need help.
Yeah.
They live out there because they want to be alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so we love it.
Yeah. So being from the Northwest, I can't stand the rain.
Yeah.
So Colorado has, very little rain. Like I said, tons of sun days, over 300 days of sun. So
all the seasons.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer when we, when I signed when we talked about buying a house, it was here or Arizona were our 2 choices. And I'm sure the heat gets old after a while. So let's do Colorado. It's kind of, like I said, we're from the Northwest, so our family was still close to family, but far enough away to where they can't just pop in on you.
Yep.
So like I said, bought a house and got traded, again, and luckily every trade for a career standpoint was for the better for me.
Yeah.
I had 2 good years in Houston, went to Montreal, and kind of became. We were pretty young with the Astros at that time, so I was behind 3 or 4 other relievers. I was a relief pitcher in the big leagues. So I went to Montreal, got to set up, I got a better role, came to Colorado, started closing, and then got traded to the Cardinals, who, if you know baseball, is, baseball heaven. So there's no better place to play in St. Louis. It's crazy. So we went to St. Louis, and actually, that's where I always say I realized what baseball is really about. We have I won't mention any names, but a friend owns a ranch here. A Rockies player called him in February and reserved their ranch the 1st of October. Because they knew they weren't going to the playoffs. They knew, okay, we're done in October. We'll get a reservation now. I go to St. Louis, the first day of spring training. They're like, don't make plans until November because we're playing through October. I mean, we're making the playoffs. That's our goal here every year, to make the playoffs. So just that mentality, I finally realized what baseball, what it was about. This is real baseball. It's not just playing in the big leagues and all that stuff is great. Yeah, but when you have that culture of, we're here to win, we're here to get better, we're here to, so don't make plans. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then, 3 great years in St. Louis. Obviously the Cardinals, just their history alone. I got to play with, Mark McGuire and Albert Pujols and Jim Edmonds and Scott Rowland and Ventura. I mean, I was pretty blessed to play with some of the guys I played with throughout my career. With Bagwell and Biggio in Houston and Pedro Martinez and Vladdy Guerrero and Larry Walker and Dante and Todd. So I hate to name drop all the time, but I was pretty lucky to play with the teams I played on and some great players and great guys. And, we still have, friendships for, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years since I retired.
Yeah.
But you see somebody and you pick up as if you've never, you don't miss a beat. It's like, it's everything's the same.
So you guys met, you got married and met and formed your relationship before anybody really knew you. And then you obviously had a very successful career. How was it, keeping, I don't know the story of your marriage, but how was it keeping a good marriage through all of that fame? Was it hard, easy? Wasn't an issue?
You want to ask her?
Let her answer first. Yeah.
Well, he tried, with him being gone a lot. Yeah. I mean, if we had phones back then, it would have been awesome. But
yeah, before the cell phones,
we'd call and, he'd call every day or I don't know.
Yeah, at least a couple times a day.
We used to talk to the kids, and
I was pretty lucky, on our marriage standpoint. I mean, that's where a lot of our friends now are divorced, having problems in rehabs, and I was never a drinker, so I didn't go out. That wasn't an issue of going out, and I'm sure that kind of gave her some sort of a peace of mind of, no, I'm not out in the bars, or everybody's human. Temptations are temptations. I don't care how perfect or how, great of a person you think you are. I mean, stuff happens, and
you just don't put yourself in that situation.
And that was kind of my theory was, don't get in that situation because you never know. I mean, every day, that next step gets easier and easier. Whether it's I'll take my first drink, whether it's hey, that girl, I'll just say hi to her. Next thing, so it's one of those things where I don't want to get in that situation. And obviously for her to be able to trust me to go on the road for 2 weeks at a time. And she knows what happens, everybody knows what happens on road trips. The groupies are out there, especially baseball, when you're gone for 2 weeks at a time. Other sports, football, you're gone for a day or two.
It's so accessible. Like you wouldn't have to go looking for it.
Every hotel we're in was the hotel to be at.
Mm-hmm.
The best bar, the best food, so everything. We'd get to the hotel at 2:00 in the morning. There'd be 100 people outside getting autographs.
Right.
And so it's every hotel we stayed at was like the place to go. And like I said, that was kind of my thing was I didn't want to get in that situation to even be tempted, So
you just built the habit, the reputation for yourself. Like, I go back to my room or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I worked out. I worked out every night.
Yeah.
I ran 6 to 8 miles a day. 3 or 4 every morning, 3 or 4 every night, and lifted and ran. And there comes a time where who's on the team does what.
Yeah.
So,
you surrounded yourself with the guys that were like you.
Like-minded. We'd go, I've seen Tommy Boy 1,000 times. Because when it came out, 4 or 5 would us meet in someone's room after every game and watch Tommy Boy when it came out. And then they quit, guys, they quit asking, don't bother asking Dave to go out because he doesn't go out anyway. So don't even bother asking.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, it's only one time one time, some guy, it's kind of funny. Like we're 15. He's like, "Oh, my goal is to get you to drink this year." I'm like, I was 31 years old. I'm like, "That's your goal, is to get me to drink?" It's like,
good luck.
Okay, good luck. I mean, I wish your goal was something different. Maybe the playoffs or the World Series, or
right.
Stay healthy, but not to get Dave to go out and drink. But that's what I tell my kids though. It never ends. That temptation, that peer pressure, that. And I coach a high school team now and 14-year-olds in the summertime, and it's a different mindset. It's different, and it never ends. Literally, like I said, I was 30-some years old, and the guys are still like, "Oh, that's our goal is let's get Dave out," and but definitely takes a special woman to put up with that lifestyle and to trust, and that's where trust comes in. I mean, if she didn't trust me and I didn't trust her, we'd never be married for 32 years.
No, and that's the biggest thing. I mean.
Yeah.
And I always told myself, being young, it was hard. I mean, there would be times I'd be jealous or, like what? Because there were groupies everywhere. But I told myself early that being jealous is just a feeling. It's like being scared of the dark. It's like being sad, happy. So that's something I can control. So I decided, what am I jealous of? So that was easy to get over once I kind of.
You guys kind of touched on it, but how'd you make yourself, because I'm in, I sit with families all the time in their finances, and most of them, if they're meeting with me and they're committed to each other, we can get somewhere with their finances, but so I'm not usually sitting with people with broken marriages, but a lot of people have broken marriages. So like, how did you form? Like, did you have influences that sat you down and told you, like, from a young age, like, hey, you're in your early 20s, you're getting married, you're going to have all these influences, you need to work on that? Or do you guys just
Nothing.
Figure it out together? How'd you get there, I guess?
I don't know.
Yeah, because my family, my parents were married for 50 years, whatever, but my dad and we're never the, not the lovey-dovey. It was, basically learn as you go. There wasn't a whole lot of counsel, and
there was no finances.
I was youngest of five, so I kind of had some sort of, my siblings, they had, most part, had great marriages. So for the most part, I got some sort of sense of what it should look like. And my parents were great. It wasn't like we had issues or problems, but, my dad wasn't the huggy and lovey type. He was an Air Force football player, so he was a tough guy, and I think I just think it's kind of one of those things where we saw successful marriages and unsuccessful, and probably the reason for both. Yeah. What was the common denominator? People that were happy and successful. And even now, if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, we actually don't post all the time because people think we're, there's no way they actually think that this is actual
COVID. Well, my daughter even said, Mom, it's okay if you go to the store by yourself. I'm like, what?
But literally, we do everything together.
Go with your dad.
And that's the reason I'm so intrigued. Like 10 years in the bigs is pretty big feat. 10 years in the bigs and still married to the same woman and faithful the whole time. You're probably in a really select group, I'm guessing.
There's a handful. It's crazy. And even people you think, just because they go to church or read their Bible, or people you think are on that same path or same mindset as you, it's crazy. That's why I don't take anything for granted. We're pretty guarded, with who and what we do, and which probably kind of leads to when we get to our financial side. We'll explain some stuff that unfortunately sometimes we're too trusting. Yeah. And we give everybody the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. I think that's a big pat on the back. But let's jump over to fitness a little bit. So the little bit I follow, I try not to get on social too much and browse, but when I see your guys' posting, it's always something out on a hike, doing something physical. Like how is that just because you're both athletes, or
we live in Colorado?
And you live in Colorado, but like, do you guys wake up with intention to like, hey, we're going to map out what we're going to do this year? Or talk a little bit about your fitness habits, maybe.
We're the worst planners.
Yeah, we're terrible. Her hike to Yosemite was probably the first planned.
Well, yes, it was planned. I had to
get qualified.
Get my stuff, and I knew I was going clear back in May, but we didn't book our flights or get a hotel till when?
Probably the week before.
Yeah. I could have not done it because we just procrastinate.
Yeah.
We're not good planners.
Yeah, we're terrible.
We are get up, hey, let's go do a hike or let's go do something. But
and unfortunately, my hiking days have slowed down just because of my knees.
Yeah.
So which 2 years ago, every day we're somewhere doing stuff. And
during COVID.
During COVID, we saw more Colorado during COVID, even though we've been in for 20 some years. We saw, and it was great because we're the only ones down the trails. We're the only ones on the road. It was kind of, we had to stay to ourselves. It was kind of nice actually.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for me, the last year or so, I do a bike ride every year with my brother called the Tour de Tucson. It's a 106-mile bike ride. And for some reason, after last year, I came home and my knees were brutal. So the last year, I've kind of had to limit my hiking with her. Yeah. Which unfortunately, because now she's doing, either doesn't go as much because, doesn't want to go by herself or,
and by myself.
Has to cut it short or, so I feel, so I need to get my knees healthy so I can start, going with her some more. But it's crazy. It's one of those things, like she said, we'll get up and say, hey, let's go do this today. Or, sometimes you have to plan a little bit just because you have to drive a couple hours to make sure. Or now some places have passes. You have to, register ahead of time just because of the COVID stuff and keep the numbers down. But
fitness, it's just every day.
Yeah. She ran track in college. So
that's what we're doing every day.
Yeah.
We have to tag team because we watch our grandkids in the morning, take them to school, pick them up. So he'll go get them, take them to school, go work out. And then we have our granddaughter until noon. So
can drop, then we switch.
We switch. I go do my workout and
but Fridays is our day off. Fridays are usually our grandkidless day. So
we had them.
We had this morning.
Slept over.
We had sleepover last night.
Took them to school, and it was our grandson's fun run. So we had to go cheer him on.
Yeah, he had a jogathon.
What? I guess I kind of skipped over this. What's your day look like now? Like, are you guys working? What keeps you busy for and maybe this will be an intro into finance, but what's your you're grandkid. Like, what keeps you busy otherwise?
Like I kind of mentioned it at the mastermind. Yeah. I have an LED light company, so I do LED lighting.
Yeah.
And I do gas and electricity. I'm like a gas electricity broker. So for states that are deregulated, what state do you live in by chance?
I'm in Minnesota.
So your state's perfect actually. So I can sell gas in your state.
Okay.
So basically, Xcel Energy is the big provider here in Colorado.
Yep.
Most people don't realize there's other providers out there. So 3 of my big lighting customers, I just went to them basically say, hey, let me see your gas bill. I might be able to save you some money on your gas bill because you're buying it from Xcel. They're charging you 14, 50 cents a therm. I can get it at 7 or 8 cents a therm, and so I'm saving my guys 20 to 30% on their gas bill. And one guy spends $120,000 a month on his gas bill.
So
now he's spending $80,000.
If anybody in Minnesota is listening to this and they relevant, you might be able to hook them up.
Seriously, especially states that Colorado gas is it's slow in the summertime because no one uses gas to heat.
Yeah.
But there's a printing company called Publication Printers, and like I said, their bill was $120,000 a month on their gas because a lot of their machines were the gas powered and they're heating a 400,000 square foot building. So now they're spending 80, they're saving 30%, so it's easy. It's basically, it's like your cell phone, whether you're AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, all you change is who you pay.
Right.
Your pipes don't change, your pipelines don't change, or nothing changes, just your bill, who you're paying. So it's kind of a no brainer. It's easy, but no one really knows. No one knows about it until you say, hey, let me look at your gas bill real quick, and if I can save you some money, it's a pretty no-brainer. So I started with LEDs about 10, 12 years ago. I started doing that. I still do some LEDs, some lighting stuff, but I'm focusing more on the gas just because it's an easier sell type thing, and it's no upfront cost in my pocket.
Mostly on the sales side.
Yeah. So that's my real job.
Yeah.
Like I said, I coach high school. I coach a 14-year-old national team out of Dallas.
Yeah.
And our grandkids. That's kind of where a lot of our Robin's time is.
And Prime and high school.
Yeah. So USA Prime is our national team.
Okay.
So so those are the 14-year-olds last year. So we'll be 15 next year. But it's so that's my fun job. But obviously, coaching doesn't pay a whole lot at this you know, at this age, high school and stuff. But I still love the coaching side. I love doing that. So it's hard for me to quit. Even though Robin wants me to kind of take some time away, but.
Yeah, well, and you're obviously an asset in that department with your history and the things you've seen, the people you got to play with, and everything. So, let's dive a little bit into the finances, the story you guys shared at the mastermind. You've made some good money. You trusted some people, and it didn't quite pan out the best. And so, as much as you feel comfy sharing, like I'd love to hear. Kind of what are the numbers looking like, and what was the emotions through all of that, and what did you learn? And share as much as you'd like.
You want to start it?
No.
Well, one of those things. Like I said, we're pretty trusting, and I'm getting better.
Trusting and loyal.
Almost to a fault.
Yeah.
So, and there were some red flags along the way, and he'd always have a reason why, something would come up.
He was our financial advisor.
He was our financial advisor.
Yeah.
And we got him through my agent. They were out of Chicago, so my agent introduced us to him. And I made, for me back then, it was, great money. I thought, I shouldn't have had to work again, if I didn't want to. And he we did a house edition. First, I found out stuff was going on. We did a house edition, and pretty much used cash for it. So every week or two, the contractor said, "Hey, I need $50,000. We're doing this, whatever." So I'll just call and say, "Hey, I need to transfer money," and I transfer money. I get a letter a couple weeks later saying, "Hey, you owe us $40,000."
This is about halfway through the edition. Yeah.
So like, hey, you owe us $40,000 because someone got caught. I guess there's some clause. We had a Ponzi scheme guy in the firm was taking money in and out. So I guess there's a law. If you withdraw money within a certain time of him getting caught, they thought I had insider information and was withdrawing money, so he doesn't take it or something like that. So since then, now I had to pay back the 40.
They were kind of almost like wondering if you were part of it because you were. Because I took money out. If I knew that,
it didn't matter if we showed proof that it was going to
where it was going.
It doesn't matter. It's anybody that took money out with this period of time has to pay it back.
If I'd known, if I didn't say a scoop, I would take it all out, not just 50,000.
Right.
So that was our first, flag. And of course he he got caught. He's done now. I was smoothed over. And then a couple of years later, we're done with the edition. And I didn't really, and probably it's my own fault. That's probably the biggest takeaway I would do now if I had any advice to anybody, which I kind of wish we had like a rookie camp or something to talk to guys that don't, I didn't know financing. I went to a junior college and I went for baseball, and, I wish I would have taken more of a role in understanding the process, the finances, where's my money going? But like I said,
be educated.
We knew the guy for 20 years. We knew him and we trusted him. And, and so about 3 or 4 years after we're done with our house, I'm talking to another guy that had him. Yeah. I actually got a phone call. I got a phone call saying, "Hey, Bill just committed suicide." I'm like, "What?"
Oh, man.
He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "So I guess he was getting caught by another player that was questioning what he was doing, filed a lawsuit against him."
Well, and we had been talking to him about, I just wanted to pull everything out of Chicago, bring it to Colorado, redo it.
And no reason to keep him. I wasn't playing anymore. I wasn't making the money. So I'm like,
need all that.
And his biggest thing is like, "Well, you better get a job. You better get a job." I'm like, "I got a few million in the bank. Why don't you do your job and make me some money?"
Yeah.
And so his biggest thing is like, you should probably look for a job soon. You better start looking for a job.
Yeah.
So we talked to the guy that started the lawsuit. He lived here in Colorado as well, and and kind of like triple dipping. We hit partnerships. Either his wife or his kid or someone in the firm would run. So I'm paying Bill for this. I'm paying these guys for that, and it was basically the same entity.
Right.
So I'm paying him 3 or 4. So it's kind of which kind of started the lawsuit from this other player, and so I through baseball and friends locally, I had a couple lawyer friends. I'm like, what can I do? He's like, well, first of all, who knows what's even there? He goes, so I sent him gave him my monthly spreadsheet. He's like, dude, this literally is a Word document. He goes, I can make this up for you. He goes, who knows what you have in there? It might say $1.5 million. It might be 150. Who knows what you have in there? Because this is just a spreadsheet. He goes, I can do this.
Yeah.
So as we're looking through stuff, which as we're doing our addition, I didn't check anything. Here's a notice from Charles Schwab. Here's a notice, another withdrawal. I'm just thinking it's from, and then next thing you know, his wife's name's on one of them. His name's, like 10,000 here, 50,000 there. I'm like, so, probably I take partly blame, obviously, because I should have been more aware and more hands-on of what was going on, and not just, and you
hear that all the time with athletes.
Yeah, because they don't know.
I mean, it's not. I'm not saying all athletes. A lot of people, even people that
real world, even.
Yeah,
the numbers are
just assistants or people take money. They think that they're not going to notice, or and it was just a little bit every. Here and there, and we didn't notice it. So
the numbers aren't great for athletes, right? Like, the stats, and even today it's still bad. But hopefully it's better, maybe. But it they come into money fast, and whether you're in entrepreneurship or business or win the lottery or get a contract as an athlete, it's like if you've never been trained on how to build the money and haven't had to kind of really work to build that money, it's hard to keep it. So, but anyway, so keep going with the story. So maybe,
and I never thought about, doing more work, buying into a business or starting something, or, I had some friends that were, neighbors that, we looked at.
It just wasn't talked about, even with
other players,
friends and athletes. That's just not something we talked about.
But it's kind of weird. So obviously, like I said, I make good money, but not, obviously, not like nowadays money, but where I got, 50 million in the bank, but it was enough that with the way we grew up, we were never huge. I went through some cars, but most of my cars I bought with a bonus. Most of my cars were, free money per se. Playoff money. Here's $100,000 play money. That's
But now,
let's buy a toy.
Now we would have. Taken that free money, and it would have.
Well, and then
come to work for us.
And just little things like sit on the house edition. We owed about almost $500,000 on our house. Mm-hmm. We did the addition in cash. So now our house appraised about $1.1 million. So we paid $700,000 for our house, 10 years before. Yeah. Over the course of 10 years, our balance is down to, $500,000. Yeah. We did the addition, it appraised at $1 million, $1.1 million, out of, advice from our advisor. Hey, refinance for $1 million, take the $500,000 in equity and put it back into your account. Oh no. Which basically was his account.
That was probably the biggest.
Yeah, that was our advice.
That was probably the biggest.
And I could have paid it off. Literally one winter, I had a signing bonus for $500,000. I had, we have licensing money through anything with the MLB logo, baseball cards, hats, jerseys, anything with the MLB logo. Every player in the league shares in licensing money. Doesn't matter if you're Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, or Dave Veers, you get the same amount of money. Yeah. So basically, I'm living off the superstars. I'll take $50,000 free dollars. I'm not. I don't see many Dave Veers jerseys running around.
Yeah.
So,
that should have gone to paying off the house.
So when 94 was my rookie year, we went on strike. So from 94 till like 2000, the association basically kept half of all your licensing money in case there's another strike down the road. Players have money to fall back on. Yeah. Here's some money. Here's some money we can disperse to you. Because when 94 happened, no one was ready for it. Yeah. And so luckily we play with some veterans in Houston. They're like, don't cross the picket line. If you guys need money, all the rookies, if you need money, call us. We'll help you guys out. Don't cross the picket line. Yeah. So now the association kind of planned for that the next 5 or 6 years. So now 2000 comes around. We get a new player collective bargaining agreement. So now we're getting paid back those 5 or 6 years of licensing money. Yeah. So literally, it was like every day I go to the post office or the bank, the mailbox. I would get a check every single. It was like crazy, like Christmas every day. Here's 30,000. Here's 25,000. Here's 50,000. I'm like every day I go to the mailbox, I'm getting money. This is great. So I could have easily, I know probably, according to my, well, you want that tax write-off, keep a mortgage, you want that write-off.
Yeah.
Thinking back now, I should have just paid it off and not had a mortgage, or I might save money. I might get some sort of write-off, and I had plenty of write-offs with my tithing, with my agent fees, with everything else. I had plenty of write-offs. I didn't need my mortgage, but instead of paying it off.
So every opportunity he could on you guys, he found a way to get the money, put it into his accounts.
Crazy.
And I mean, knowing what you know now, you obviously went to a mastermind, and then you're learning. Like, you guys could have taken 2 years of your profits and set yourselves up forever.
Yeah. Like, but even then, I've never even thought about a future, because I said, I had a few million in the bank.
Yeah.
My dad was enlisted Air Force, so I was youngest of 5 kids. I had nothing growing up. Her dad worked in a paper mill in Camas, Washington. So, the way we grew up, I bought cars, but it's usually with free money that, a playoff share or a signing bonus, or
we didn't live.
So we didn't live, too extravagantly. We didn't think, not a lot of vacations, and so we thought I had enough money to never work again if I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And so obviously, like I said, I blame myself.
This wasn't around, like Zoom calls or, and people talking about this kind of stuff. And it's talked about now all the time, everywhere you turn. Someone is out there talking about
future
investing, real estate, like all kinds of stuff. But that wasn't around back then.
Yeah, I would just say now, though, like, I meet people and they're like, oh, my friend told me about you. And I've never heard anybody talk about money before. So it definitely is who you hang with, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, over the years through this event or whatever, you guys are now looking at more of this, because that's how, obviously you paid money and went to a mastermind, so you're intentionally looking for it. So it looks like it's all around now. But I meet people sometimes, they're like, no, I've never talked about money with anybody ever. So it's still out there, but it is crazy. So back to this crooked dude that took your money. Like, what did he leave you with? What was the after result, and how long ago was that?
It's been about 6 years before he moved.
6
or 7 years before he moved. And this is another kind of crazy thing. So when it happened, we probably had about $500,000 left, $450,000 left I had like $3.5 million put away when I retired. And, like I said, I played in the 90s, early 2000s. So in my career, I made like 14 million in my career.
Yeah.
After taxes, 7 million, and then, whatever. So we had about 3.5-4 million put away when we were done playing.
Yeah.
And like I said, the way we lived and grew up,
yeah, I was going to say
making any type of interest.
Yeah, I was going to say, and $1 million loan, right?
Well, this is later.
Okay.
Yeah, this is later. So when I retired in 2007, basically we had about $3.5-4 million put away. And then
I don't know.
Well, and then we lived. My mortgage was that 07 is when we financed. Because actually, the last year I was playing is when we did our house stuff. We started a couple years before. But now my mortgage is $6,000 a month, because now we're doing $1 million versus it was like $2,200, because I was $700,000.
Yeah.
And like I said, I should have just paid it off when I had the chance. So now I'm paying $6,600 a month on my mortgage. Now it's another 30-year term versus the 10 years already paid down. It's one of those things that I wish I knew back then what I know now, because obviously I didn't have to refinance. I didn't have to. There's no reason to, except for him to take the money, put the money back into his account.
Right.
So that was.
And I'm hearing this. I've had people refinance, pull money out, but it was always like, hey, you're $2,200 now. You're going to go to $6,000, but we can take that money and create 10.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's different if you're doing it that way.
If you want to do that. So I'm not saying, I'm hearing this and it's like, so he literally was like, let's take it. You're not going to get anything for it.
Yeah. Which going to refinance, put the 500,000 back in your brokerage account, where he has access to.
Oh yeah,
that he runs.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long he ran the refinance?
07-ish or 08.
Oh, that's before the crack. Refinance. Okay.
Yeah, the worst time. Yeah, probably the worst time possible, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking that too. The 07.
Somewhere in that area. I know it's somewhere in that area because maybe 06-ish. I mean, I know it's 04. I was playing and I was with San Francisco rehabbing in Fresno when we started our audition.
Tavin was 3, so it probably was
4 or 5. Yes, probably but right before the brutal time.
Yeah.
So now, so now I got this, and all that. Who knows? I actually tried to do some stuff to try and alleviate that, but so the funny thing is, I get this letter from their firm and says, "Hey, obviously, so and so is taking over Bill's accounts."
Another firm,
another fiduciary firm. If you want to move, sign it over. If you don't want to move, whatever. I just want my money. I want what I have left. Yeah. And I want out. So a couple months go by and I don't hear anything. So I call them up or I send an email or call them or something. And they're like, well, no, actually there's a clause that if 3/4 of the firm or the people want to move, you have to move with them. I'm like, is it really? So so basically I had to move to this new firm whether I wanted to or not, because over 3/4 of, his people wanted to. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So, and then all my partnerships were like 10-year terms.
Yeah.
So basically I wait for those to mature. So now when they did, I wrote a letter, say I want to close out my accounts. Here's my letter of, I want out. And then they're like, well, actually there's another clause.
These were all probably written up by Bill.
It's crazy. So I guarantee you, this guy probably did it. First of all, I'm not sure if a 10-year term is unheard of when you do like a partnerships or some sort of K1s.
Well, I was going to ask what that even meant. Like you were knocking up, like, was he he was just creating a story.
Yeah.
To keep the money.
Yeah. So I signed a letter. Okay, my 10 years is up now. So I signed my letter to get out. And they're like, well, actually there's a clause also too that I relate it in terms of the team has the player option. So basically, actually there's a clause that if we want to renew your contract, we can just keep renewing you every year. You can't get out.
Oh my God.
So the money's just basically.
So basically, I'm like, well, or you can try and close out with a 30% hit. You'll take a 30% early withdrawal or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think I did that on one of them, just because now we need some money. And so basically the last 4 or 5 years, actually I wrote my letter about a month ago and say, any way I can get out, now I'll pay the penalty. I just want out whatever I have left. Yeah. So basically maybe once every year or two, we get like a disbursement. So basically, my money is just sitting there, not making any money. So either there's such bad investments that he did, he can't sell them, or no one wants to buy them. So basically, it's just gradually he keeps going down, down, and down until either the money's all gone, or. So I wrote him a month ago to try and get out. Hey, I'll pay the penalty. I just want whatever's left. They're like, well, actually, in our client's best interest, we can't let one person out. And not everybody, whatever. So basically, I've been sitting here waiting for a disbursement every now and then, and for to rather just keep losing money over time. So, and they're hoping with the next year and a half, we can have these already, all closed out and sent out. So
this is going on today.
Still going on, and I'll get a check between $2,000 and $7,000 every year and a half.
And you have
the partnerships,
and there's no statements showing how much money there is.
Not really. I think I'm probably 100,000 left. Who knows what's left? But I was willing to take the 30,000. I was going to take 30% hit. Oh yeah, because when the initial stuff happened, we lost. I don't know how much in the initial, the initial Ponzi scheme, and then the initial when he got caught stealing. So
of the $3.5 million, how much did you end up getting or pocketing?
Geez. Nothing.
I mean, little.
Very little. Because we didn't take it out to use it. For our house, but then we put it back in. But so basically it's just gradual over time. Whatever he took before he got killed. And so guys were like, well, we aren't sure what's in there. So I need $50,000. I'm talking to lawyers. And I was like, well, we need 50 grand just to look to see what's left, to see if there's any money worth chasing. You know, you might have 10,000, you might have $1 million. Like, you know, who knows what you have left? Because basically what he's sending you is just a spreadsheet. You know, so basically over time, it's just, you know, it's almost like I forgot about it, to be honest with you, until I get a check from him every 12 to 16, 18 months. You know, I get a little,
$2,000 just
a couple $1,000, maybe $7 at the very most. And, but so they're all just gradually losing in value over time, or they're, disbursements here and there. So,
on his stuff, as they sell stuff, we get something.
But I just think it's such bad or bogus stuff that he's putting us in that they can't get rid of it.
Was there like a documentary on this? Like, is shown to all the new athletes or something? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know. There's a pretty big list of clients.
Yeah.
Because we get the sheet of who all was on it and affected. And a lot of our friends were with them too.
Yeah, we had,
So they're in the same boat.
Yeah, it's crazy. Unfortunately, some of them have more money to work with than I did.
Well, I guess, now that you know what $3.5 million 15, 20 years ago, double it every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, you would think, and that was my thinking when he's telling me, but you should probably look for a job. I'm like, why don't you do your job and make my money make money? It's like, isn't that what I hired you for?
Not to poke or anything, but let's say 2009 comes and everything goes on sale, and you throw $3 million into it. You're looking at $50 to $100 million of real estate or whatever today.
Yeah. It's crazy. But it's weird though. But like I said, back then, no one ever really. I was approached for two things, and unfortunately, did you see those balloons go up?
Yeah, I did. What was that?
I have no idea.
What?
I just saw a couple balloons go up at the screen.
I think it was. Yeah, I think
my piece.
I don't know what it was.
That was crazy. Is that our time limit?
No, not on my.
That was weird.
It's like you had a notification on your computer or something.
That was weird. It might have been, maybe Robin got a like or something on her, birthday wish or something.
Yeah.
So my rookie year, after 7 years in the minors, obviously we didn't, my rookie year basically was paying off what you lived on for 7 years in the minors. A friend of ours in Houston is a dentist, pretty world-renowned cosmetic dentistry guy. He's like, hey, there's a group, this is 94, winter 94, 95. He goes, there's a group coming in that's starting a search engine. They're looking for some, initial funding to get in. Obviously, I didn't have any money to do it, but I'm afraid to ask. It was probably Amazon or Google or AOS. So it's 94, 95.
Yeah.
So whatever search engine, whatever search engine started in the mid 90s.
It could have been nothing.
It's probably Google.
It's probably Microsoft or Google.
Yeah. So I was
convinced that's what it was.
I could put $100,000 in and been and then when I was in the minor leagues still, just in the big leagues, someone came to me about doing storage units in Arizona. I'm like, storage units? Who wants to do? Now we have friends that do storage units, and they're pretty well off.
Yeah.
I'm like, crap. Too bad I didn't have any money back then, because we could have bought, in the late '80s, early '90s, storage units in Arizona. So unfortunately,
knowing what you know now, what you've been through, like, what's the next 10 years look like for you guys? What's the game plan?
Well,
and I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like every time something good happens, or we think, hey, we're getting ahead, we're doing this, because I want to do some stuff with Chris.
Yeah.
And we still talk every now and then. He shoots me a text, hey, how are things going? I kind of explain to him, brief history of what's going on. And he's like, hey, how are things going? I was like, well, so just when we think, hey, we got some money to play with.
Yeah.
We just family stuff comes up. My daughter's car, my son's. Just so it's almost like when we think we're getting ahead, life hits.
What made you go to that event? Was it just because it was so close to your home?
Well, we met Chris we met Chris to another mutual friend back in.
When was that?
Okay, what year were we in? 2000. with 23, probably 20,
19.
about 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yep.
We met a guy. We met Chris through a guy.
Started working out. So I was
Yeah.
running because I did that race. So it was probably 19,
Yeah.
18, 19.
Yeah. I know was it before COVID or after?
Mm-hmm.
It was before. It was right before COVID then. So we actually met Chris at a guy's house.
Yeah.
He was home like a little man. And thing in LA, Ed Milet, Tim Story, Chris spoke. Crap. What was the guy? Chris Noggle was there. So I went to a buddy of mine invited us to this mastermind that he was, helping with. I met Chris at his house. And it's kind of funny. So Robin was with me, of course, and that's Chris's biggest thing. He's like, hey,
with you, but not. I was there. I planned to run a race.
Yeah.
I signed up for a half marathon because
in LA, yeah.
Be busy. He's going to be doing these meetings. I'm not going to sit there all day.
Yeah.
So I planned a race, but then I would come.
But that day she was there when Chris was there.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, like whose wife is with him? Like, well, mine's downstairs, but she's here. She's here, but so and that's important to us too. So I kind of like that side of what he talks about. With your spouse and the right people around you, and
Right.
and like I said, we thought we had the right people around us.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's one of those things. So it's a little different, a little harder now. I don't have the funds, obviously, to do what I was doing back then, to where I can throw 50,000, 100,000, or whatever it is into stuff. So now it's just I'm trying to build, because this gas stuff could be crazy. It could lead to some 7 figures.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of focusing on that, trying to get to the point where we can start, like I said, every time we think we get ahead. Yeah. Hey, make this. We got this sale. We got some money coming in. Let's let's join Chris's weekly master with the mastermind thing he does, and like crap. We got to pay for my daughter's this. We got to pay for my son's that. We got to so just little things come up, and not that we don't mind doing it, obviously, because family is family, but it's we actually this weekend we're supposed to be in San Diego.
Yeah.
For a power trip concert.
Oh.
I'm not sure if what genre you like of music.
I like them all, but I don't listen to very many of them.
But this weekend is
3 days.
3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's in Indio where they hold Coachella.
Okay.
So it's Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Guns N' Roses,
Yeah.
Metallica, Tool.
And you're not going now?
Did you say AC/DC?
Did I say AC/DC? I might say
AC/DC's first.
Yeah, so we had plans to go to that.
Yeah.
Stuff came up, so now obviously we had to put that on. We had to cancel that trip. So, but like I said, it's priorities, and
it's hard spending money on us. We
yeah. Well, kind of like the fitness side. The fitness side, Robin's always been in great shape.
Yeah.
When I retired, I gained 70 pounds. I pitched at 220, and at one time I was 292.
Okay.
About 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was over 290 pounds. So, I think I did it for so long, so I had to. My job, it was easy to stay in shape when you're playing, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you come last in everything. It's my kids, it's my family. So next thing you know, I'm 290 some pounds without really realizing, how much weight you gain until you look at pictures like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then not that she's going to say, Dave, you're getting fat, but
I mean, but closing in on 300. What was the last 3 years? What'd you do? Turn it back around?
Hanging out with her.
Yeah.
Changed our diet. We started eating half the amount of food that we ate.
Yeah.
We'd go out and we'd get appetizers, eat our own, meals and desserts, and come home miserable.
Yeah.
Now we started, and we have a friend that started a no 0 days is the mantra. Do something every day, whether it's just move, just, no 0 days, just do something. And, like I said, the combination of, getting my blood work right. Like I said, I've had some health issues, and, blood pressure was sky high, and just everything was all jacked up. And so
same women, hormones, 50, I'll be 54. So, you got to get that checked.
But so it's a combination of keeping up with her, cutting my food in half.
Yeah.
Well, and keeping up with our grandkids.
And grandkids, kind of, you realize now it's 55, I'm almost 57, but it's not, kids are made for young people for a reason.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. You guys get to hang out with them, and you're active, and at one step at a time. But you've made health the priority, and you've learned a few things along the way. And so, no, we can kind of start to wrap up here. But no, it's cool hearing the story. I mean, like I said, I personally don't rub elbows with professional athletes, and you got a long career. You got to see a lot of stuff, and kind of cool.
Unfortunately, some of the bad stuff, and and we have all intentions of obviously continue this conversation.
Yeah.
Kind of we talked about at the mastermind. To plan for. Because unfortunately, we kind of drug our feet with a lot of our planning.
Yeah.
Just because in my excuse, well, we have money, we can just we can just throw money at him towards the end. We can just throw money towards the end at him.
Right.
Versus planning when they're 2, 3, 4, 5. Having those. We can do it for our grandkids now versus our kids are all working and older and kind of start their own thing. But it's.
Well, I mean, your story and your experience is pretty powerful, and we never know what God has in store and why he puts us through what we went through, but it was on purpose. And it's I'm glad you came on today and kind of shared it. This turned into a we're going on an hour now, but I think it went fast, and it was fun to bring that out. Do you do you get to share the story much, or is this kind of like
the financial side? The financial side? Not really. First of all, most people don't like talking about it.
Yeah.
And
it brings back a lot of bad.
Yeah, a lot of PTSD.
It was tough, and Dave's always been better than me.
A few years ago, when that Madoff story comes out.
Oh yeah.
On Netflix. Just watching that, going through that, and how can you treat a friend, or how do you do that to people you care for? I mean, it's crazy.
Your family.
But obviously it happens all the time. It's happening right now somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how people where that money just kind of takes over their,
Yeah.
It's crazy how that, so we don't really talk about it. A lot of it, first of all, most athletes have the pride factor to where, I've never made a mistake. I'm not afraid of anything. I've never done anything wrong, but I'm at to the point now where, if I can help somebody else, or and just take responsibility for your own stuff. If I knew, or someone had told me back then, there's never anything to work with rookies or young guys coming into money to where, hey, and unfortunately,
well, and even choosing an agent.
Yeah,
some of them now they have the coaches or whatever they called.
Crap.
A little more direction when they first come in.
Yeah.
They just are blind, and a lot of the parents don't know either.
Especially if these athletes aren't from money, which most aren't, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that humble beginnings is probably what drove them to work so hard to become an athlete.
Yeah.
Right? And then they come into money, and it's like, I'm going to do this, and now we're set. But it's like, this is a short-term money.
Yeah.
You got to be thinking, how do we make it grow forever?
That's the thing. And so we thought we had plenty, and I went from pitching every day, never getting hurt, to literally not being able to walk in 2 months.
Yeah.
My hip went out. So I left the 02 season, pitching through October. We played with the Cardinals. We lost in the championship series to the Diamondbacks, I think. So I'm pitching through October. I take the month off. January rolls around, and I can hardly walk. My hip, something locked up. And so basically I went from pitching every day to I was done playing in a year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So not to kind of toot my own horn, but from 95 to 02, I led every pitcher in baseball, every reliever in innings pitched for an 8-year span. And I went, so next year, I was done the following year. I played one more year and that was it. I was done because of my hip.
Yeah.
So I thought I had 3, 4, 5 more good years. I just, my earning, I still got some good years ahead of me because I never got hurt. I was durable. I could pitch every day. And it's amazing. So I went from throwing every single day to I'm done. My career's over. And, I didn't envision that happening for another 2 or 3, 4 years. My goal is I'll pitch till I'm 40, I'm fine. I want to have 1,000 games in the big leagues, and my record was proving that, that I went from next year, I threw 35 games the next year and never pitched again. And it's crazy how fast it ended for me. But like I said, that earning window, as small as it is, I played 17 years, which is a long, long time.
Yeah.
Most guys don't even get to play that long. So I had a great long career, and it's so I never thought it was going to end.
Now you get to reshape your next 20-year career starting now. So
I'm the gas man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Dumb and Dumber. The gas man. It's like, I don't know I got gas.
Well, no, I appreciate, I appreciate your guys' time coming on here. I mean, this, it'll be fun to stay connected and see what, because if you're pouring into yourself, your health is good, you're aware of that, you're going to masterminds. It's just, it's a matter of time until you start putting the pieces together and build it back up, build back up whatever you're shooting for.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I went to that one. I talked to Chris a day or two before. I knew he was coming to Colorado. And even though I'm not in the real estate world per se, he's like, just come. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know. Because what you do, whether it's LED lights, whether it's gas, electricity, you never know who you're going to meet, and building owners, property managers, guys, obviously real estate guys have, big buildings. They might need light bulbs. They might need gas. They might need, so just to make connections, even though you're not in the real estate world yet. I mean, we talk about hopefully someday, because obviously listening to the trailer park stuff, and, it all sounds so interesting, and getting in there and, with the right people, and, so you never know who you're going to meet and come across who might need my help and me theirs.
Right.
Type thing.
Yeah, it's all about the relationships, as you guys know,
sure.
right? Good or bad.
Yeah, it's who you know, not necessarily what you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Who you know, and the right timing and a little bit of luck and or bad luck, I mean, you guys kind of you've been through enough of the good and the bad, so it's just it's fun to. I would encourage you to keep sharing that story, because you will, and you'll help a lot of people. So
hopefully it's kind of like our goal now is to kind of get out there and be a little more like I said, more open about it, and like I said, if you can help somebody else out and just give me a heads up.
It wasn't like you were running the Ponzi scheme. You didn't do anything negative. You got nothing to hide. So
for sure, but I think a lot of it's that pride issue where people don't want to talk about the mistakes that things that happened to them, and and like I said, I blame myself. I should have took a more hands-on role, or understood, or learned more about it, or but
cool,
unfortunately,
now we'll teach our kids.
Teach them to use their gut instincts, but check and verify. And, even for me, when I handle people's money and I do real estate deals, it's like monthly checkups, literally tell them exactly what I'm doing, how the money's growing, how the rehab's going, all the stuff we're doing with it. And it's like, if the goal is ever just to make money, how do you replicate that, right? You want to learn how the money is growing, not just, oh, cool, I made money.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the financial industry is so broken, is, nobody learns the game. They're just like looking at their return, but they don't know how to make it. So
for sure.
But cool. Well, let's wrap this one up. Appreciate you guys, and we'll have to do this again in a few years and give another.
That'd be awesome. Another where are they now story.
Check in. You remember 2 years ago? So awesome, guys. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Nice seeing you again.
You bet.